Okay. So we are going to begin officially. Once again, karibuni sana to today's webinar being hosted by Passcode. Today's webinar is a build-up of last week's webinar. And the title of the webinar is NCLEX Study Strategy, specific focus on reading like you'll never ever read. So what are the strategies? What strategies can you use to pass NCLEX? And with us today, we have a battery of colleagues of us who have sat for NCLEX before through Passcode and have passed. So they will be sharing their experiences with us and you'll be able to interact with them. At this moment, before we begin officially, I'd like to give a mic to two people. I'd like to invite two people. If you feel like you are able to share with us your expectation, or maybe I make a random, I just select randomly. But I'm inviting two people. If you're able to speak with us, please just raise your hand. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to choose, allow me to just to choose. I can see somebody from Ghana, Francesca. Francesca, you've been in some of our forums. And I'm going to assign you the mic with your permission so that you share with us what is your expectation of today's meeting. So Francesca, if you can hear me, kindly please unmute and share with us what will be your expectations.
Hello.
Hello, Francesca.
Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me,
yes,
please?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. So today, I wish you can highlight more on the NCLEX because some of us, we are new. We are about to even go for the studies and right. So if you can talk more about it, that is my expectation today.
And welcome very much, Francesca. It's good and an honor to have you in the forum. We look forward to interacting with you further throughout the entire session. So I'm going to get one more person. We have a gentleman by the name Alan Mwasi. Alan, are you able to unmute and speak to us?
Yes, thank you very much for your welcoming. Yeah, I'm so grateful for this event. At least people will be enlightened on more about NCLEX, and it's a very important session for us to be informed on the strategies of passing the NCLEX. As it will be our first attempt, we've never started for NCLEX. We are still in the process. We need to prepare and start the process with Passcode. Yes. Oh, now I would like to ask some questions about the new NCLEX generation setup and the pass mark rate, then and the strategy which we are hoping you share with us to be informed more about the process.
Amazing. Where are you joining us from, Alan?
Yes, I'm joining you from Taita Taveta County. Yes, in a place called Voi.
Yes, Voi.
Yes.
Thank you so much, and karibu sana. With your permission again, dear attendees, allow me to just give two more people. We've heard from Alan, we've heard from Francesca. I would like to invite also, let's see, Okay, Kezia Anunda, are you able to unmute and speak to us? Kezia Anunda? Okay. Okay, let me get, can we hear from Natasha? Oh, sorry, I had not unmuted Kezia. Kezia, are you now able to unmute? Kezia, I've unmuted you. You can go ahead and speak. Okay. I'm sorry if, all right. Just a minute. I'm sending you a prompt that is asking you to unmute Kezia. So if you see it, you can just you're now able to click the mute button and just unmute yourself. Okay, while Kezia is trying to unmute, then we can get Richard. There's a gentleman by the name Richard. Richard, I'm going to unmute you, and then you can share with us what is your expectation of today's webinar. Richard Nzovo, are you able to unmute from your end?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you, Richard.
Yeah. I'm a qualified nurse who is working somewhere in Machakos County. And I'm expecting to know much about what happens in the USA and the like.
Mm-hmm.
About employment and what have you.
Mm-hmm.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes, we are able to hear you, Richard. And you are saying you love to hear more about employment in the US and what happens in the US.
Because I'm about to retire. I don't know if they take the people who have retired in their whatever. In jobs. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is that okay?
Yes, it's okay. So you're saying you like to know if they take people who have retired and what that process would look like for you.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, Mr. Nas Richard. Now let's get back to Kezia. I hope she has been able to get the prompts. Kezia, what happens? I've asked you to unmute. So what you just need to do is click the microphone on your device, and you'll be able to unmute.
Maybe if you can get through another method, maybe, because most of us were seeing the icon but not able to go to access it. I don't know if you can get. I don't know if you have the number so that somebody can call her and tell her.
Oh, it's okay, no problem. Casey, actually, you can still do it in the chat box, but allow me maybe to use somebody else, Kezia, with your permission. We have Emily Nyambura. Emily Nyambura, I've sent you an unmute. Emily Nyambura, are you able to unmute? Okay, fine. So, dear colleagues, thank you so much for sharing your expectations. You can still share your expectations in the chat box. All of you, you can share what you are expecting so that the panelists will be going through your expectations and also answering or responding to expectations during the Q&A session. But at this moment, I'd like us to dive into the core matter. So last week we had this forum and we had presentations on the strategies you can use to pass NCLEX, the process of registering for you to do NCLEX, the A to Z of NCLEX. And we had a battery of questions about surrounding the same topic. So what we had planned this week as a build-up for last week was to invite some of the students or candidates who have done NCLEX and passed through NCLEX so that they share their experiences, how the journey looked like, the strategies they used, and where they are right now. So with us, we have three people who will be sharing with us. The first person is Harrison Dirangu. Harrison Dirangu is, just a minute, let me get my facts right before. Okay. Right. Yeah, so we have Harrison Dirangu, who did his exam on 20th December 2022. His interest is to become a nurse practitioner, currently still on the immigration process to go to US. The second panelist that we have is Jen Mudhaka, who will actually open the session. Jen Mudhaka is an NCLEX passer who trained with Passcode on the immigration, still also on the immigration process to the US. She'll be able to share with us about her journey. And thirdly, we have Caroline Boynet. Caroline Boynet, kindly, if you're in the meeting, side chat the host so that you can be given the admission rights to speak. But I'm going to invite Jen. So Jen, karibu sana to speak to us about your journey, what your experience has been so far, the strategies you used throughout the entire process, that the entire forum can be encouraged with their journey. Karibu sana, Jen.
Hello.
Hello, Jen. Yes, you can.
Do I put my video on?
Yes, we will appreciate if your video is on.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes. Hello, good evening.
Evening.
My name is Jane, as you've heard, and I'm humbled today to be in your midst. I was invited by Passcode to talk and encourage you people about this journey. So I feel honored because I'm sure we have been so many students who have been through this process, but Passcode saw it wise to welcome me and at least encourage some people. It's my joy too, because somebody encouraged me. Passcode, particularly Humphrey, did a great job for me to pass NCLEX. And that is why with his invitation, I'm glad and happy to talk to you. I've heard some of your expectations. And I think from what I was asked to talk about, it is about NCLEX and how to study NCLEX. First, I would like to say that I've sat for NCLEX twice, and therefore I have experience of sitting for NCLEX when you're not prepared, and sitting for NCLEX when you're really ready and you're really confident and with good content. So I'm never afraid of sharing my experience of failing, because I wouldn't wish anybody, even my enemy, to go through that, because it's really a painful thing, a painful process, especially when you're self-sponsored, you've paid your registration. I'm sure some of you have started registering. It's an expensive process because you start by verification of your documents, which entails some money. You register with the exam body, and a lot of financial implication. You pay for your flights, you pay for your hotel, and a lot of miscellaneous. It was really painful. But again, I realized my mistake, and that is what I'm going to talk about today. I sat for my first exam in November 2021. And for sure, I would say I was not prepared according to how I thought that exam. My computer, I did the old generation, And that time, the minimum questions you do are 75. And yes, if computer shut at 75, then it meant you've either failed completely or you've either passed very well. So it's shut at the minimum. And exactly that is what happened to my second attempt, shut at 75, but I felt I've passed. But and the first one, I wasn't sure anyway, because I was feeling I'm just doing the questions. But again, I would see, I was really afraid, you know, the way you would get out of exam room and you're not sure, you're just freaking. So what mistake I did, and I wouldn't like anyone to do that in this group. Well, let me first start with the good part of how I passed. I passed this because in the last year, 2022, this is when I found Passcode. Through Facebook, I saw them, contacted the number, and somebody picked my number with Humphrey, and we really talked at length. And from there, we started the journey together. I was really drained and exhausted. So I also asked him to help me register again, because as I've told you, you start from scratch, from verification of documents, which is, maybe some of you have done it, 17,000. No, Kenya shillings, going to nursing council, it's a hassle, and so many things. So Humphrey really helped me, assisted me on that. And I would just tell him where I am, and he really assisted me, and even registering for the exam. I'm not one internet person, so doing those things, again, doing it for the second time, it's a bit exhausting and tiring, and no motivation. So I used Humphrey, who was very positive, of course, with a little fee, but it has really paid off. From there, I joined his classes, where we used to get in class in the evenings at 7 p.m. to, I think, 9 p.m. And yes, I had a very nice foundation. I picked, we say picking the broken pieces, because I was really broken. But even for the person who is starting, that is why I'm saying you're starting. So start with the high gear, like the way I did the second time. So I started off. One, we had a strategy, a study plan. We set a study plan with him, which we really strategized. I learned that I realized that I didn't have the content initially, and that is what I lacked. So he really advised me on how to get content. And of course, content is the basic. I would love to tell you this for free. With content, you're able to just go through any question comfortably. Because without content, probably you've done questions before, you'll only be able to answer that question that you saw. You think you'll work with memory. No, in NCLEX, you'll never see a question that you've ever seen, but it is always twisted in another way. So we started at around May or June last year, 2022, with a study plan. He would give us assignments that kept me on toes. And I became so serious. I threw all other old books. I told myself, I'm starting up again and I must pick it. And yes, with their assistance, of course, when you have a class at 7 or a stipulated time, you always make sure you keep time. You're always on your toes to do the assignments, and also to do to read ahead. You feel you're motivated. Of course, I got myself with other students in school, in class, one of them being Caroline Boynette, who will be with us later. And during our free time, earlier in the day, we formed a group, a WhatsApp group, where we would discuss. We had discussion, questions among ourselves without the teacher, because the teacher we only had face-to-face in the evening, 7 p.m. to 9. So I picked up, actually, I remember I had thought of studying IELTS first, but again, I had done it for 1 month. But when the NCLEX, I got inside NCLEX, I really got drowned. And yes, I started going Sawdust page by page, and we had the same. We had the same reading technique with the tutors who are there in Passcode. And we went topic by topic, and yes, I felt different. It was very easy for me. Of course, I had paid for 4 months, and so my time expired. And when my time expired or was over, I left Passcode and I started studying on my own. But of course, we had other groups with my friends. We continued. Of course, we got strategies. While I was in Passcode, I was also advised to buy a question bank, which is atempt. That really took me well. I would do so many questions, plus my other friends, another student we were with had simple nursing, which she shared with us. And so we did, we together we would do like 100 questions per day. Carol will attest this. Carol was very hard on us. He would remind us what Humphrey used to tell us, that we can't go anywhere without the content. So we really were so ready to tackle all the questions we had set for a day, and without a break, because you didn't need to work. We kept friends away, whoever was not helping us at that time, and it really called for sacrifice. At that time, I also had another, we started waking up with my friends at 4 a.m. to 6. We would also study together, and we would call Passcode team. They were assisting us also to help us, to also guide us on whatever we wanted at that time. And for sure, I'm here to tell you, for you to pass NCLEX, you must work hard. You must sacrifice. It calls for devotion. And devotion, I say devotion. And everything has to be on the fingertips. I'm saying this because when I was going for the second time, I was really ready. I knew what I'm actually, the first time I had booked my flight like 3 months ago, you know, that excitement that you're going to South Africa, you're going what, you know, the hotel, especially for people who've never been had a journey or traveled outside country, you know, with that excitement and of course pressure from friends. But this particular time, I booked my flight when it was 2 weeks to time, because I felt I'm now ready. You know, for canceling a flight is expensive than canceling a test. By the way, I had booked my exam on 1st December. I contacted Passcode. They were still with me. When I talked to one of the tutor, we discussed and we saw we found out that I wasn't ready and I wasn't confident for sure. So I canceled the test. There were offers, there were flight offers then. Ethiopian Airlines was offering, I think, 45,000 to and fro South Africa. I didn't get that pressure anyway, because afterwards I paid 96, but it is worth it. That tutor told me, you better, you know, the hassle of or the pain of repeating the exam, it is not equivalent to the 40. If at all I paid 45. I mean, it was supposed to be 45,000 in January. You know, it was still festive seasons around January, because I did my exam on 12th of January. Therefore, I booked my exam around 3rd of January, if I'm right. Yes, that. So it was still festive season. I paid 96, which I really don't, it doesn't feel, because I was really ready, even while on flight. You know, whatever I was listening, there's nothing that I had for the first time from the audios I had was, I could actually, you know, there's the Mark K, I would actually know the next word he was about to say. You know, the simple nursing, videos are very good. I had gone like through almost all of them. I wouldn't say all of them, but through almost all of them. So whenever I would listen to Simple Nothing, I would tell, we are talking about a certain topic. I would tell what is about to say. Something that was very hard on me, cardiovascular and the EKGs and whatever, all that. By the way, I got a question, a twisted question on that, but it was very easy on me. I was able to answer that one. I know I got it right. And once I got my SATs at around, it was number 58, 59, and 60, I knew I was on the right track. Passcode had given us so many strategies of that exam, how to go about SATA, something that I had gone blindly. You know, you answer only what you are very sure of. I remember there was a question that SATA had 6 choices, and I just picked one because that one is only what I was sure of. And that was number 73. I vividly remember that.
Okay.
Dear colleagues, I think we've lost Jen in the process. Probably her network has dropped off. But clearly you can already see from what Jen is sharing with us how her journey has been from when she did her first attempt and failed. And then now she had now to take a second attempt and pass, and the strategies she used for her to pass in her second attempt. And through her sharing, there are a few things she has mentioned. One thing I'll want to point out is she has been able to mention Caroline Boynet, with whom she revised with. And so as we wait for Jen to reconnect back, I would like to invite Caroline to pick it up from there and talk to us about your experience. How many attempts have you done? Where are you now? What process are you at right now? But of most benefit to the audience is how your experience has been and what strategies we used as we look at what the question that we have in the chat box. Caroline, if you're able to hear me. Yes, Caroline, you can go ahead and unmute. Nice.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
As you've heard, my name is Carol, and maybe I can just go direct to the point from where Jane left. I believe we are discussing on the strategies on how to pass NCLEX. And what I want to tell you, my fellow nurses, is that NCLEX is easy. Let you not be scared that it is a monster. It has been given so many names. And that is, I think, the reason why I took so long before I agreed to or admit to do the exam. I'm a first-time passer. I did my exams in October, and I passed with the first attempt. And it all takes devotion, as my colleague Jane said. And what I can say is that when you have a focused group discussion or a focused group persons or agents, like as Jane said, we just met in Passcode, sometimes back in, I think, August, when I had done everything for myself from the beginning, like registration. I'm a private student or a person who has never worked with any agency. I've been doing my applications myself. And even when it came to now studying and doing my exam, I thought I would do it by myself. But upon revising, upon reading the sounders, I felt that I needed someone to guide me. And that is why when I went through Facebook, I believe most of us are in Facebook, I saw an advert by Passcode. I decided to take a shot and see how these people will take me through. I made a call from the contact they'd given out, and Mr. Humphrey, of course, is the one who received the call and just told me, just try as you see if you can. In fact, the first 2 lessons, he invited me for free so that I can be able to make up my mind. When I went for the first class, I thought, yeah, I think I'm in the right place. And I told Humphrey, now I've made up my mind. I asked him about the fee because I knew there's nothing for free in this nation. So you have to cough some amount so that at least you can also be helped. So I paid the fee, not the whole amount, but at least we had an arrangement of maybe 2 installments, because you really need to sacrifice, because we are all not equal. So I went through the lessons, the classes. They were a bit taxing, and especially when you are working and at the same time you're a private student, and at the same time you are a real private student that you don't want even your colleagues in your place of work to know what exactly you are doing. So you can imagine all those things together. We went through the lessons. We had a structured lesson in the evenings. And I don't know why Jane and her colleagues, in fact, I think in the initial class, we were about 4 of us. And we decided that we are going to make this Passcode shine. Remember, it was in August when I joined. And I told myself, I believe in this Passcode, so I'm booking my exams in October. So I booked my exams in October 27th, 2022. I did my exams. And when I was going for my exam, I felt so adequate and I very relaxed. And I knew whatever I've gathered from Passcode and whatever I've done for myself, the reading plan that I had for myself and the strategies I was applying to read were adequate for me to attempt the exam. What I can say is that first, believe in yourself. Know your potential. Know how you absorb your reading. You might be somebody who reads from maybe a certain time to a certain time. The rest of the time might not be so convenient for you. And that is why there are always breaks when reading. As Jane stated, we decided to do a SWOT among ourselves. That is the strength. We looked at our strength. We looked at our weaknesses, the threats and the opportunities that we were having at that moment towards the NCLEX. So after we analyzed, since we were a small class, we decided to have our personal student WhatsApp group minus our lecturers, who was Alice and Humphrey and others, and Akina Dennis and the rest. So we left them out. We decided to draw a plan whereby we dissected the sounders fully among ourselves. We distributed topics among ourselves, and we would have each person discussing a certain system. If your system was, let's say, endocrine, you tackle it, you finish tackling the notes by yourselves, among ourselves, and then we do now the questions from the Q bank that we had bought from Archers. And we even went ahead and contributed to buy ourselves the other Q bank, the UWorld. We had one UWorld for ourselves that we would share the password among ourselves. So the NCLEX needs a lot of sacrifice. We discovered that our strength was more in the morning. So from 4 a.m., you can imagine we would wake up, 4 a.m., all of us are up and reading and discussing until 6. We break, we now go to our various workstations or our day activities. In the evening, before class, that was around 4:30 to around 6, we would come together again, discuss, because the Sounders is a really big book. And thereafter, we would go back now to Humphrey's class, the Passcode class. So what I'm trying to say in short is that develop your own strategy. Remember that in learning, the teacher always gives you 20%, 80% it is you. Secondly, is that doing NCLEX is an investment for yourself. You are not doing for anyone. It is an investment, personal investment, because you know what you are aiming at or your ultimate goal. If you know that you really want to move from this country and you want to venture into abroad, and you know that for nurses, NCLEX is the only true way to the other end, you really need to sacrifice. And what else? Another thing is that other than your time, your monies, just have a will of reading. There's that personal will, the drive that it is inside you. I think with those few remarks, I think I've tackled most of the things. Just do a SWOT analysis for yourself, discover your strength, and then now plan yourself. So, lastly, I would like to say that you make use of the YouTubes in the internet. Just, I would recommend that you use RN Nurse. You can also use, it's called McLean. And then you look for other books. Any topic that you're not so sure, inquire from the Passcode team. They are very good. And especially, I know most of us we had a challenge with reading the scripts, and we've never worked in an ICU setup. But when we finished those topics, we were so confident of ourselves. Finally, I would just say that it is doable. You are going to pass, not even 2-3 times. You are going to pass in the first attempt. Just believe in yourself, know exactly what you want to do, and move to the exam room and you'll be there. Thank you.
Wow, wow, wow. Carol, I mean, congratulations, and it's just so inspiring to listen to you speak about your journey. You know, I feel like, wow, I'm in that exam room, you see? So you're quite inspiring with your share. And there are some resources you've mentioned about for YouTube. I've heard you mentioning resources about Ubank. Probably you can also share about them in the chat box. I see the host has also shared, but you can still share with them. Again, you can be going through the chats, look at the question you can answer and reply to them, so that we limit the questions that you might have towards the end of the session. Meanwhile, attendees, be asking your questions in the chat box. Whenever you feel a point has touched your heart, just highlight it and let everyone know so that we learn together. I want to
Dennis,
invite,
just a minute. Maybe
yes,
what
please.
I can also tell the students is that I started this process last year in March. I worked with the JSA. This is Joseph Silly Association, which they are very fast. If you really want to move very fast, work with them. So you can imagine that I've taken I took around 6 months and I did my exams. And then now I've taken another around, by January, I was done even with my visa screening. So
oh, wow.
Yeah. And I'm working also with another very good agency for direct hire that is worldwide. They are pretty fast. And what I can say is that maybe I'm just waiting to be case complete this month.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
We are wishing you all the best. And I think Humphrey can also take a note of, as Carol has mentioned about direct hire. So you can also take a note about that and probably make a comment while you'll be making your submissions. And I know there are some people who will be asking for your number, Carol. That will be asking for the number, Jen's number. So just go into the chat box and check if you can be able to reply to them with your contacts so that they can be able to connect with you. I'll want to bring on the next speaker or panelist, Harrison. Harrison has also done and passed his NCLEX. Harrison, you've heard how Caroline has shared, you've heard how Jen has shared. We'd also like to listen to your experience, given that you did your exams in December. Tell us how it has been, the journey, where you are right now, and the entire process. Please inspire us. So karibu sana, Mr. Harrison. Nas Harrison, if you can hear me, nimekutumia, I've sent you the unmute prompt. Yes.
Hello?
Yes, you are clear to go. We can hear you, we can see you.
Oh, you can see me, yeah?
Yes, we can see you.
Okay. Well, good evening, everyone.
Good evening, too.
Yes, thank you for having me in this forum. And I would like to share my experience. I wish to concur with the two presenters about the process. It is not easy to have that process as a student, and I know it is a tough process to start with. However, it needs a lot of concentration and a lot of dedication. By the way, can you hear me?
Yes, Harrison, we can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. Well, the process has been quite tough, considering that you're juggling around so many things around your life, school, work, and even the family. So passing NCLEX is not a joke. So I want to mention about my experience. I started this process, I think a year and a half ago, but due to some issues along the journey, I started working on my exam pretty well in last year. What I would like to encourage my listeners or those who are planning to sit for the test, number one, dedication is a must. You must be dedicated. You have to create time for this preparation, because you cannot just wake up and go and do an exam. Yes, it is a nursing exam. You have been practicing, so you think you have the content with you. But mind you, NCLEX is not like our nursing council exam. It's a bit different. So you have to have the content in your fingertips. You must read. You must have the gist to know what to do and when to do it. I want to say that I used to have the content with me first. That was the first, that was the initial thing. Because if you don't have the content in NCLEX or Lewako, or as we say, it's a tall order, you're not going to make it in the test. Because this exam is a bit tricky and it needs a lot of critical thinking. You have to plan your day. As much as you're working, you must create time for going through your notes, especially the sounders, which has a lot of information. And most of the question, actually, all the questions come from sounders, because this is the testing book that you can go through and you do your exam and pass. The exam is not for the faint-hearted to start with. You need to do a lot of exercise, a lot of revision, a lot of studies. And I can tell you for free, practice makes perfect. One thing you need to know about NCLEX, you're going to lose so many friends because you don't have time for those people. Because on your free time, you're burying yourself into these books, into NCLEX studying. So be ready to lose friends. Those who are going to stand with you, well and good. Those who are going to run away from you, it's okay. The other thing is you can avoid is you're always on motion, as in you're always moving. You want to go and visit your friends, you want to go and visit your relatives. By doing that, you're going to waste a lot of time. So this study is just for a short time. So you can shelve that those visitations for a short period. And then after you're done with the exam and you've passed, then you can go and visit all those people that you want. But for when you're preparing for your NCLEX, please avoid those many visitations because they are going to waste most of your time. NCLEX need a study plan. You need to have a study plan. I had study plan, and I had to stick to it, and I needed a lot of time to know and even to understand what I was studying through. I can tell you this for free that we partnered with my spouse because she's also a nurse. So we were able to go through a lot of materials together. And this brought us a lot of understanding. And even we were able to do a lot of questions together. Some we could not get the right mark, but with that struggle and a lot of insight, we were able to get to the mark. Another thing about NCLEX, you cannot wake up in the morning and you start answering questions. As the previous presenters have said, Carol and Jane, you must have the content in you. So content is the first thing you do. Then after that, then you can start now answering the questions. NCLEX needs, you need to be simply think about the things that we do around with our patients. Think about first, always think about first, priority, what you need to do first. And it must be a nursing action. Don't go for medical answers first. Always go for a nursing action first. Something else you need to put in your mind is NCLEX is around Maslow's hierarchy of human needs. Maslow, it should be in your fingertips. Whoever is preparing for NCLEX, Maslow must be ringing around your mind. Don't let anything else hinder you, because that is where you're going to answer all your questions from. Also, in your NCLEX, remember nursing process. You may do it, you can do all other things, and you forget about nursing process. You are on the wrong track. Nursing process should be one that you need to ring in your mind. Having said that, I want to tell you what I normally did. I was doing. At some point, we could even sleep at 2 a.m. or even 3 a.m. because during the day we are working, and in the evening there's so much to do. But we had the schedule we had. If it was to do a certain exam in the evening, we had to do it. We set time, and maybe from 9, maybe this is a 3-hour exam, we had to do it. So it doesn't matter whether you're tired or not. The plan that you have set, let it work. You have to make it work so that you achieve your goal. Remember, a goal, you have to plan for that goal. Something else you need to know about what I did, towards the exam, we had a morning session where people were discussing about questions and even the content. And we could wake up in the morning at 4 to 6 and go through the materials that we had. And this really helped me because there are some things that maybe I could not read on my own and understand. But when I got into this morning class, some of this material, some of this content or some topics, at least when somebody is talking about it, I was able to grasp and even to hold it in my head. So that way, I can tell you it really helped me a lot. Apart from that, I had an issue with my answering strategies. My answering strategies were a bit weak, and I didn't know how to improve it until one day I was going through my YouTube, and I met this guy called Rainier Irado. He's a professor in nursing, and he has a YouTube channel by the name NCLEX Crusade International. I can tell you, when I listened to that gentleman, my answering strategy shot so high. Where I was getting, let's say out of 75, I could get around 40, 45, and I could see, okay, I'm trying. But when I listened to Professor Irado, he opened my eyes, and I was able to analyze a question until I realized, oh, this is the guy. So I can tell you for free, my fellow nurses who are preparing to take your NCLEX test, you need to learn the strategies. And when I listened to him, I was able to analyze a question, and I was able to to move from 45. And out of, maybe 75, initially I went up to 55. And then as I continued to watch him and listen to him, I went up to 60 something, up to 65 out of 75. So I can tell you, answering strategies are very, very important for answering these questions. I went on and on and on, and I remember when we flew to Johannesburg for the exam. We were 3 of us who are doing the exam the same day. And I remember we sat in a room, and we decided, Now, because we don't want to read the content again, let's now listen to some of these YouTube videos. We opened the channel by Simple Nursing, and we listened to him. Some of these things, I can tell you, we watched him the day before the exam, and then that morning of the exam, because our exam was starting at 1 p.m., we watched him from the previous night and in the morning session to up to around 11. And then we went to do the exam. Friends, let me tell you, our exam, though it was not the new generation, we did the old generation. Most of the information that we got from the Simple Nursing and what we had read in the content in the morning session, we got most of the questions were from those materials. As much as we had done the Kaplan and the UWorld, Simple Nursing was a bit simplified. And I want to tell you that it was an attempt that was so, it was so fulfilling. Even when you were answering those questions during the exam time, you could see yourself getting the right answers. So I want to tell you, please, make sure the content is so in you, that when you wake up in the morning, remember the content. The topics that you're not really very conversant with, make a small group and discuss about that that topic, especially endocrine. Endocrine usually puts people down, and even cardiovascular. But me, I would talk about endocrine. Neurology, not so much, but deal with the topics that are hard, and you make a group and then you try to discuss. So unless there is a question, probably I'll be able to respond.
Wow, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Nasa Harrison. I mean, it's just so inspiring listening to you, especially when you pull in the aspect of time. How do you create time to revise? How do you create time to study using your own environment, for example, like using your own spouse or relatives or the people around you to help you study? And I also heard you mention issues about for the technical things that you should have at graphs, like the Maslow hierarchy of human needs, referring to that one as a benchmark for answering questions and getting the answering techniques or strategies on your fingertips. And there's also a YouTube a resource that you've mentioned. I see somebody has asked about it in the chat box. You can answer that person in the chat box by the professor. You can answer it in the chat box, and then so that person can also, the attendee can also benefit from that resource. But dear attendees, as you can see, there is one thing that all the speakers have tried to underscore here, that NCLEX is possible. And in your attempt to make NCLEX possible, you definitely need people to hold your hands, people to support you, to show you direction. And that's why we do these kinds of webinars. And as we are telling you that you really need people to help you and support you, then that is where Passcode comes in. And I would like to invite Dennis, who is an programs admin at Passcode, to share with us what Passcode does in terms of NCLEX, how it prepares students, what is it that Passcode offers, probably in 3 to 5 minutes maximum, and then for all attendees to be able to appreciate this. I'm aware we have attendees from Ghana, from South Africa, the central part of Africa, and also Uganda. So address them also about the same. Welcome very much, Denise. Dennis, we cannot hear you. I'm not sure if you've unmuted or something. Not yet. Not yet. And probably try using the your computer's microphone without the headphones. Let's see if that one will work. Not yet. Okay, as you try to fix your audio, because we cannot see your microphone on your screen. Probably you can try unlogging and logging back, something like that, or plugging in another audio. Maybe I'll ask Dennis to take over. Sorry, I'm confusing. I'll ask Nkonge Humphrey to take. Yes, Humphrey, are you there?
This is Dennis. Am I audible now?
Yes, Dennis, you are now audible. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you, Donat, for giving me the chance to speak to potential clients. First of all, I want to thank you for finding time and joining our webinar. My name is Dennis Wako. I am the program admin at Passcode Global Consultant. I deal with matters registrations. As you are aware that before one gets the authority to test, you have to do the NCLEX registration processes until now you are able to sit for the exam. We as Passcode, we have various programs that we administer. And one program that we do that I'm going to talk about is the NCLEX. NCLEX exam to do the process before now you are able to Passcode. First of all, we do the NCLEX review program where we coach you on matters NCLEX. As you have heard from our previous students about what we do as Passcode in regard to preparing you for the NCLEX exam. So we charge $300 where we take you through the entire NCLEX review program. That it runs the classes runs for 4 months. The classes are done online via atempt 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. subject, topic, and modules. So once you register with us, you also get access to our online learning portal. That is where we post our materials and the class recording for those who who don't find time, maybe because of one reason or another, don't find time to attend the classes. So we usually record our classes and you can find them on our online learning portal. Also, our tutors post the materials on the learning portal. You will get access to the learning portal regardless of the time. Another thing we do as Passcode in matters NCLEX is the registration process. The first of all is the evaluation. We will do for you evaluation with either CGFNS and GSA. We'll advise you which one to go with. As you are aware that the different organizations have different time rate, and also their prices are different. We'll also do for you board registration. We will guide you accordingly on which board of nursing to go with. The advantage of going with a compact state and of not going with a non-compact state. We'll do the registration for you, guide you accordingly on which board you should go with. We'll also help you with the fingerprints. We will do for you registration. We have the fingerprint cards, which we will give you so that you can your fingerprint can be processed regardless of the board of nursing you go with. We will also, for those who go with Texas Board of Nursing, there's an exam called jurisprudence exam. We will give you the material and monitor you accordingly. Matters of that jurisprudence exam. Then once you've done all the Pearson view and get the ATT. Now that ATT is valid for 6 months. Then after getting the ATT, we'll guide you on how to schedule for exam, or we'll advise you on matters, flight charges, the centers. Currently, most of our class go to South Africa and India. We will facilitate you on matters of advice. On which center to so for the entire NCLEX package, we charge $200. That entails from from evaluation service registration with data CGFNS and GSA up to the time you have your ATT and you're scheduled for the exam. One thing that you need to note that that cost also entails the cost of getting the 2 fingerprint cards that you'll be using for processing your fingerprint cards. In a nutshell, I've told you what we do on as Passcode on NCLEX. Any your NCLEX process, feel free to ask your questions, and I will be responding to them accordingly. Thank you, Donald.
Well, thank you very much, Denise, for that elaborate discussion. Maybe I have a question for you before we go to the other questions in the chat box, and maybe bring in Humphrey. We had Jen and Caroline talk about a question bank. That they bought a question bank. Now, will you be able to tell us, did they buy this question bank from Passcode, or did they buy this question bank from somewhere else? How was this one facilitated?
Okay, thank you, Donald, for that question. On Matters Question Bank, once you have enrolled with us for the 4 months program, our tutors will evaluate you and they will advise you which question bank to go with. The $300 for the NCLEX review program, it is exclusive of the question bank. So once you are into a program, our tutors will advise you on the right time to buy the question bank, and the question bank will be bought at your cost. Because as you all know that the $300 is not enough to purchase for us to purchase for you the question bank, because as you are aware, question bank varies. The price of question bank is it will depend which subscription you will go with.
Okay, thank you very much. I think that was quite insightful. At this point, I'd like to invite Humphrey also to make some submission. Humphrey, karibu sana. You'll be able to introduce yourself, and as you introduce yourself, you may kindly please make a remark. And in your remark, there's a question that had been asked by Lucy. And I think I'd also mentioned it to you to shed more light on direct hire, because NCLEX helps us to is a self-sponsored program helping us to prepare. Sorry, Passcode helps us to prepare for NCLEX and also facilitates other processes. Will you be able to also shed more light on direct hire that Caroline had talked about? So karibu sana sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Kindly confirm whether you can hear me.
Loud and clear.
Okay, thank you. So before I go to the question that I have been asked to address, I would like to first of all start by thanking everyone for attending our meeting, as well as our panelists. Personally, I believe that we keep on learning, and we learn new things in every opportunity that we get. And I had also an opportunity today to learn more from our previous, from our alumni. Passcode is like a school in the sense that it offers the NCLEX review program. So when we talk about alumni, it feels good. The people who have gone through the program and they have passed. They are a great inspiration to this program. And we always love to call them back to come and talk to us and to the students who are with us currently. Also to say that this meeting currently, as the students who are doing the program with Passcode, and also we also invited other students who are interested in joining the program later. Probably I would highlight a few things that have been said by the panelists. Because I'm also an NCLEX passer, I'm a nurse myself. My name is Humphrey Nkonge. I studied at the University of Nairobi, Bachelor of Science in Nursing, graduated. I'm a registered nurse in Kenya and also a registered nurse in the US. So for me to be a registered nurse in the US, I have gone through the NCLEX process and I have passed NCLEX. So I am very much acquainted with the process and also the revision logistics. When you are a working person, you are a family person, and with so many responsibilities on your shoulders. So I will highlight just two things from what I've learned from the panelists. One is the need for content when you're revising for the NCLEX. It is very, very hard to pass the NCLEX without the content. Some people get misadvised when they are told that the most important thing you need is critical thinking to answer NCLEX questions. You need critical thinking, yes, but you will have to apply your critical thinking using the foundation you have from content. So that one is something that we need to emphasize a lot, and you need to have content that cuts across every part of the NCLEX curriculum. So when you are teaching NCLEX, we don't talk about the nursing curriculum, we talk about the NCLEX curriculum, because NCLEX originally, it is an exam to test nurses who want to practice in the US, but it was also adopted in Canada, that is the same NCLEX, and currently even Australia accepts the NCLEX. So reason we talk about the NCLEX curriculum is because people who do NCLEX come from different parts of the world. Jamaicans, Nigerians, South Africans, Kenyans, Ugandans, the Filipinos, and the curricula for nursing in those countries is very different. But when you have to sit for the NCLEX, whether you studied some parts or some topics in your country or not, you will have to study them because you will find those questions in the NCLEX. So I said one is content, the other one is commitment. Once you have decided that you are going to do this process, it is very important that you keep committed from day one to the last day until you do your exam. I usually tell people, if you want to lose yourself a little bit in the process, it's good to lose yourself a little bit after passing NCLEX, because even after passing NCLEX, one of the biggest requirements for you is patience. Once people pass NCLEX, they think that the following day they will be packing their bags to travel to the US. But sometimes it's not usually the case because you will have to do vaccinations, you do medical checkups, you will have a waiting number in the embassy, because it works on the first come first serve basis. So you have to be patient. So I usually tell people you can lose yourself a little bit in the process at that particular moment after you have already passed your NCLEX. But when you are revising for the NCLEX, you don't need to lose yourself. Once you lose yourself for like 2 weeks, you lose focus, it can cost you a lot. So when you're revising for the NCLEX, you have to have your adrenaline high all the time. I know Carol, one of our panelists, said that NCLEX is easy. I agree with her only partly, because one of the difficult parts of NCLEX is because the content is a lot. You have to learn a lot of things. And that makes it a bit difficult because, one, you have to absorb so many things, and number two, you have to create a lot of time to study. So that makes it a bit hard, because if you know something in the NCLEX, you're going to pass. Now, what happens is that once you open the book you want to study, you start with the cardiovascular system. You realize that there are so many things you need to remind yourself. By the time you're going to the respiratory system, you can't study any further that day. So you have to create another time some other day. And some people find it a bit difficult to create time because of commitments. So it has to be a deliberate move to commit yourself to study. So I will also capture just a little bit about our program at Passcode. We have a very rigorous program, which ensures that you keep you on toes. You are able to study the program, the whole curriculum. Some people do not take the exam immediately after completing our 4-month course. But even if they don't take the exam immediately after that course, they are very well prepared to know, what am I supposed to study? What is the curriculum? What does the curriculum require me to know? How should I study? How should I know that I'm ready to test, like ready to schedule? I think it's a good opportunity for those who want to do the self-sponsored program for the NCLEX. Like Carol said, she was able to do a program within a very short time. Because when you're doing the self-sponsored program, the approach we use at Passcode, it is a self-driven process. So we allow you to drive your process, but we are there to guide you. So that if you want to schedule your exam and we feel at Passcode that you are not ready, we are going to tell you. Even if you want to do it as fast as you can, because some people tell us, come and tell us, I want in the next 6 months, I want to do this exam, and in the next 6 months, it should be behind me. We tell you it's possible, because indeed it's possible. But by the end of the 6 months, you assess this person is not ready. Then you tell you, yes, we know you wanted to do the exam after 6 months, but I can almost assure you, if you schedule this exam, go do it right now, you're going to fail. Because we want to be very honest with you, because we understand the amount of money you have invested in the process and the amount of time that you have invested in the process. Once you decide to do this process, it's not only about the money, but it is also about time. Because the time you're investing in the process, you could be doing some other things, which you will not be able to do when you're doing the program. So I would say that the process is very costly. And now, since the process is very costly, why should you start the program and then you don't come out with good results? So it is very, very important that we encourage our students to work hand in hand with us. We are always committed to address your challenges, even if they are social challenges, once you start this process. So we do handle these things, and we come across them. And we try to be very human in understanding and help you do the process as fast as it is possible, but with a lot of reasoning and moderation and monitoring. Before I talk about the direct hire model, I would also like to mention that apart from the NCLEX program, we also have other services that we do offer. On the NCLEX, we have the NCLEX review program, and we also do registrations. All the registrations that you require to do NCLEX, you are required to do for you to sit for the exam. We also do offer IELTS, the English exam, OET, also the English exam, and other English exams approved by the US, like Pearson VUE, PTE, TOEFL, and others. For the NCLEX review program, we usually do intakes. Our next intake is coming up in June, should be starting on June 5th. The registration book is still open for those who would like to join the program. And our phone number has been posted on chat. You can chat us on WhatsApp and do more inquiries if you want to join the program. For those who still want to start the process and probably will not be able to join the June program, I would encourage you to start registrations with us as soon as possible, so that because nowadays so many people are doing the program, even for JSA, which was very fast, nowadays we have to keep on calling them on behalf of our candidates to push them up, because there are so many people who are applying to go to the US all over the world. So now let me talk about the direct hire model. the reason why this program was started by Passcode, the self-sponsored program, is to enable as many people as possible to join the direct hire, to go to the US through the direct hire program. When we talk about direct hire, we mean that you will be hired directly by your employer in the US. And in this case, your employer will be a hospital or a group of hospitals or an agent contracted to only do hiring of nursing staff. The model that most nurses have been using to go to the US is a staffing model, not direct hire model. Now, staffing model, how it works through staffing agents is that a staffing agent will sponsor you. They will use about $1,400 on you. Actually, yeah, something like that. Let's just call it like something like $1,500 to $2,000 on you, or $2,500, something like that. They sponsor you for the whole process. They are going to pay you for, to pay for you all the monies needed for registrations, and they are going to fly you to South Africa or India. You go and test. Now, what they do is that they look for a position for you and employ you. Then they will post you to that position, and they give you a contract to sign. That is a contract of about 3 years. So for that period that you'll be with that staffing agent, they are going to be receiving their, your salary themselves. Then they will decide what to pay you per hour. Of course, you will know that because they are going to give you a contract themselves. They will be your employer for that time. So if you happen to not like the place or the money and you want to breach the contract, you are supposed to pay them for the period which you signed the contract. That is, you compensate them for the 3 years. And that will be in terms of millions of money. If you look at it in terms of Kenyan shillings, for example, it's not little money. But if you decide to go with them throughout the 3 years, well and good, but you may not get a very good deal. Now, with direct hire, the agency that will be processing your immigration, their work is to link you with your employer in the US. You negotiate your contract, you sign a contract with the employer. That can be a contract of 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, or something like that. So your salary will not be deducted by anyone. So that means that if staffing agents are giving something to do with about $32 an hour, you'll be able to negotiate for something to do with about $40 an hour, plus other benefits. So when you go to the US as an agency nurse, with an agent, staffing agent, you'll be called an agency nurse. In the hospital, you will not be a full hospital employee. So there are some benefits of that hospital that you'll not be open to, or you cannot access those benefits because you'll be belonging to the agent and not the hospital. For example, there are some hospitals that do give a lot of scholarships to their employees. And if you are an agency nurse, you may not be able to access some of those benefits. So there are quite a number of benefits of being going to the US through direct hire. This model is gaining popularity with time. Right now, actually, most people are preferring to do the direct hire model. But it is a bit expensive if you look at it in terms of what you're going to invest in the short term. But when you look at it in terms of the long term, what you're going to invest, it is the best model you can use to go to the US. Personally, being a nurse and knowing the challenges that nurses pass through, I usually encourage people and tell them this. If you have to do the direct hire model, you are using your money, please commit yourself, ensure you pass the NCLEX, because it is quite painful if you invest all that money and time and you go fail the exam. And I can tell you, it is very, very possible for you to pass the exam. When you realize that you have some distractors which were unanticipated when you were starting, learn how to deal with them, try a way of dealing with them. Some of you, I'm talking about our students, you come talk to us and we usually understand, and we try to re-strategize your case so that when you do your exam, you're going to pass it. So I think that's what I was asked to talk about, and therefore I hand over to the MC. Thank you.
Yes, the MC. So thank you so much, Humphrey. I think that has been quite a great recap, and I love the way you are also underscoring the fact that we need to be supported for us to get what we need. NCLEX is expensive. The journey preparing to go to the US is expensive, and if you can use help for you to make your process lighter, then the better. And that's why Passcode Global Consultants is here to offer you the help that you need instead of going in blindly without information and then end up investing money and not getting back the value for the money that you have spent. I'll have one question that I'd like to address it to Caroline. Apparently we don't have a lot of questions today. Looks like most of the questions were answered throughout the presentations. And so, Caroline, many people are asking for your number, but there is this question that was from Catherine Bolo. Catherine has been very active throughout the entire session. Let me just get the question again from Catherine. Just a minute. Okay, yeah. So Catherine was asking this question, and I think Humphrey has also touched on it. There's this aspect of questions and content. What do I go for first? Because she's asking, I would like to know, is there any steps to follow in studying for NCLEX? Do I do content first, then questions, or do I do them concurrently? And which books or study materials do you recommend? There are things you had mentioned, but I would like you just to maybe a recap in a minute. Questions before content, or content with questions at the same time, and the books. So Caroline, sorry, Caroline, Caroline, yes.
Okay, thank you very much for that question. What I would advise Catherine is you can't answer what you don't know. So definitely it is content first, and then you test yourself. You gauge yourself. How much have I grasped? So my recommendation is that first, understand the content. Remember that in our School of Nursing, we never used Saunders. Saunders is an American textbook, and we are basing our reading and learning for NCLEX through the Saunders. So I would recommend you do the Saunders first, and then now you follow with the questions. Thereafter, the questions that are in Saunders, thereafter, you try the same topic with the questions in the Q banks that you have. Yeah, I think is that all?
Yes, that's all. Thank you very much. And I see time has really run out on us. We should be closing probably in the next 3 minutes. But before we close, I will be doing a call to action. And with the call to action, I'll combine the call to action with those are the questions. I think Humphrey will be the last one to do the call to action so that you answer a question I'll direct to you. So I'll begin with Jen. Jen, if you're still with us, I'd like you to give us a call to action. What will be your call to action or your key message from this one? A statement of a call to action to the participants.
Thank you. I think a lot have been said, and I'm sorry I left unceremoniously. I hope you understood. So just as everybody has said, I think content and reading and sacrificing is the key to passing NCLEX. And they should be dedicated to reading and working smart And maybe Donald, if you allow me, just one moment, there's something that is burning that I thought I would have said that first time. And now that direct hire has been mentioned, probably I can talk about initially when I was doing my NCLEX for the first time, I had a staffing agent who, after failing, where I went wrong, somebody has asked about question, where I went wrong, they gave us the UWorld. So I started with questions other than starting with the content. So when I read the questions, the UWorld and the rationale, I was feeling as if I'm ready. Yet there's a lot that I didn't know. So after I failed, they asked me to leave them. They left me and come back to them after I passed. This is when I met Passcode and they facilitated my process, registering the exam again, the Texas board and all that. Therefore, after I passed my NCLEX, I decided to go direct hire. And I paid them off so that they clear me. And that is what I paid. They had not spent so much because they had just registered my first exam, paid for fingerprints, so it was around $60. I paid them off, and I'm happy because I'm with direct hire. I got a job in one of the hospitals, and I would proudly say I'm with Caroline in the same hospital. We were able to join up together, and so I'm happy for that. And this is after I worked hard because I felt I worked on my own, and so I went direct. Therefore, for those who are about to start the process or they're on the process, kindly give it your all. It's your life. I know you will invest in it through pay. We've paid for these lessons, for the classes, and also invest your time in reading and working smart. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Go for it. That is the key message and the punchline. Please go for it. And we are here to support you. Harrison, what will be your call to action in a statement? Yes, Harrison, you can unmute. Yes, you're good to go.
You can hear me now?
Yes, loud and clear, sir.
Okay. Well, I want to tell my colleagues who are in this process, like the question that Catherine has just asked. You have to do the content first. That's the first and the foremost information that everyone who is preparing for NCLEX to know. Questions, let them come later. What I know is that after when you're doing your sounders, after every topic there are questions. Those ones are okay. You can do them because after the topic, you assess whether you understand the topic by answering the questions at the back. But you find there are people who go straight to questions. They want to buy ACA, they want to buy QBank, they start doing the questions, but they don't have the content. That's a mistake most people are doing. So the first thing is you must have the content mastery, then go to the questions. Secondly, I want to tell people preparing for NCLEX is not a walk in the park. You must dedicate yourself. You must create time for it. I remember when I was doing those masteries, I was still preparing for my end of semester exam. I was also preparing for my nursing council exam. So I had so much in my head. But all in all, I went through and I made it, all of them. So a lot of dedication is important. The other thing is I want to appreciate the Passcode for bringing this forum, because most of the nurses do not understand what is expected of them. Thank you, because you're opening up our eyes and even our other people's eyes so that they understand what NCLEX is all about. And this will help so many nurses. And if you know, to my fellow nurses, if you know you are doing, if you know a colleague who is preparing for NCLEX and you're also preparing for NCLEX, team up and work together. And this way you're able to win the battle. There's no you can win the battle alone. So you need to have, and if you don't have anyone, please look for a forum and you'll be able to be assisted where you don't get the information and all that kind of stuff. So kudos to Passcode for this wonderful, wonderful forum.
Wow, thank you very much, Nasamfri, and kudos for the Passcode. Please, we welcome you all to engage Passcode to assist you. And then lastly, we'll be having Caroline. Please, a statement as a call to action. Just a statement.
Thank you very much. My call to action is that you really need to read. It's not a walk in the park, as my colleagues have said, and just have friends. You don't necessarily need to meet outside there. You can virtually meet. Like some of us met through Passcode, and we've become so close that you may think we work in the same hospital. We've walked this journey with Jane from the time we met in Passcode, and I can tell you now the relationship is tight, definitely by profession. And as she mentioned, is that we are going to move to the same state, the same hospital. So it is, life is a choice. So put all your efforts on the NCLEX and the path that you've chosen to walk through. It is doable. You are in the right place, the right people, and they'll give you the right material. I would wish to congratulate the Passcode team. They are very dedicated to what they're doing. Therefore, take their advice well. Don't look at the financial implication that you are paying them. You are paying them for a service that it is guaranteed, so long as you put your efforts. I can say charity begins at home. So it begins with you as a person. Ensure that you have your inner self-motivation, and then now you partner with the right people. And I just want to encourage you is that you're in the right place. Walk through this path, it is doable. Let's meet there because we need the dollars. You understand our economy at the moment. And the ultimate thing is that we need a better life. We want to show the world that nurses are the best. Therefore, let's walk the path. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Caroline, and congratulations once again. We are wishing you the best as you plan your travels. And then lastly, I'll call upon Humphrey. Unfortunately, will not be able to answer all the questions that we have in the chat box. And so my honest opinion would be, Denise, kindly please reshare the contacts for Passcode in the chat box. Please, if you have any other question or you feel your question has not been answered, reach out to Passcode. They'll be able to answer your question and support you through the entire process. So Humphrey, can you please give us a call to action before we come to the close of the meeting?
Maybe just before Humphrey talks.
Yeah. Yes, Caroline.
I'm seeing most of your students are asking for my number. Is it in order that I give them?
That is, if you are free to or comfortable enough to issue out your number, then it's okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
I'll do it on the text, on the chat.
Okay, fine.
Thank you.
Yes, Sir Humphrey.
Okay. Thank you very much. My parting shot will be actually very short because it is a short. I want to thank you everyone for attending this meeting. As I usually keep on saying, these meetings cannot be successful without the participants. points. Number one, to those who are already in the program, you have heard from those who have gone through the program and they have made it. Kindly implement, make use of us. We are going to walk the journey with you. For those of you who want to join the program, you are much welcome. We are going to serve you well, and we are going to do everything possible to assist you to pass the exam, because we understand the value and the magnitude of your investment, as well as what that investment means to you if you pass the NCLEX exam. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Humphrey. And dear colleagues, you've come to the close of the meeting today. This meeting was recorded and it will be uploaded in the YouTube channel of Passcode. A link will also be shared probably to your emails and also the WhatsApp groups, various WhatsApp groups that we have. If you'll not be able to get the link, you can check with me or with Mr. Humphrey or Denise over the week, and the link will also be shared. I've been your moderator, Donald. I am also a nurse like all the attendees here. I work for a US facility as their quality assurance manager, but the remote team working for them, but working from Kenya. So it has been a pleasure hosting all of you. And I'd like to request one thing, if you don't mind. I'd like to take a group photo. And with a group photo, I'll request all of you to open your videos and give us a smile if you don't mind us having your picture. So I'll be waiting to see your videos. Yeah, you can turn on your video with a smile on it, of course. Make sure there's a smile on your face. Kuna mtu amebonda kidogo, but just try to smile. Yes, nice one. Yeah, you're doing better. So, 1, 2, 3, check. That was take 1. Just a minute, you're going to do 2 photos. And the second photo, take 1, 2, 3. Make sure you're smiling. Good. Thank you very much, dear colleagues. I wish you a wonderful week ahead. Happy Madaraka Day. And we are looking forward to your calls, your emails, and your messages to Passcode to support you through your entire process. You can all unmute and say good night and a happy week ahead.
Good night.
Thank you very much and good night.
Very educative, very encouraging.
Good night, take care.
You too. Good night.
Good night, all.
Night.